What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 10-7 MMA show. We are back, and it is Friday, August 8th, which is very crazy. We are just about a week away from UFC 319, a UFC event that I've been anticipating for quite some time. I cannot wait that it is almost here. It is the Friday before this, and we got Justin joining right now. Justin, what's up? Yeah, we are
What's up, boys?
8 days away from this epic event. We've got Tehran back on. He said, "What up, champ? What's up, Tehran?" MGAL4 Productions. Shemaev takes him out. Let's go, Shemaev. MGAL4 Productions says Shemaev champion. Let's go. If you guys have seen on MMA Joey's channel, I don't know if you guys are fans of MMA Joey, but he's been making a lot of videos and a lot of predictions about this fight, and he and I are aligned on picking Shemaev, but it's going to be one heck of a fight. I made a video yesterday, if you guys didn't have a chance to check it out, and it's about DDP in this recent interview. Look, this is a battle for the ages. When you listen to DDP, the way he talks about his fight style, the way he talks about his training, his mindset, this guy's coming to fight. He looks like he's got no bit of hesitation in the fight. I mean, it's very interesting. I feel like a lot of guys, whether or not they want to admit it, Shemaev's just such a different type of fighter that most people probably are intimidated by fighting him, just by virtue of it seems to be a combination of jiu-jitsu, takedown, speed, agility, whatever that is a little bit uncharacteristic in the UFC in particular. But DDP seems to have nothing about the fight that seems to be intimidating. He's ready to go in there and he's confident. Justin, what do you make of DDP's confidence, his mindset? Is this something that you see sparingly in the UFC? Is this something that maybe he's, do you find it to be sincere, authentic, which I do? I'm just asking your opinion. Do you find it to be sincere, authentic, and do you find it to be a rarity?
Before I answer your question,
yes,
but I'll answer your question first, but then I have a question back to you. I don't think it's rare, but when you are a guy like DDP that's constantly the underdog, constantly no one believes him, including myself, you have to have that confidence because you're always overcoming the odds. It's not like he's a favorite in there. When you look at like Ilia Topuria, who everyone thinks he's going to win. Everyone thinks he's always going to win. Everyone thinks he's always going to win by knockout. Nobody ever thinks DDP is going to win. So for him to go in there and just win over and over and over and defy the odds over and over, I can't imagine what it does to his confidence. And he radiates. I think it's genuine. I genuinely do. I genuinely think he's being genuine with his confidence just because he keeps winning. He keeps defying all the odds. Now, when you're talking about Khamzat, I know he's your favorite fighter and stuff, but you just said, I don't think the UFC's seen anything like him. What do you think separates him from what we have never seen before? Because my rebuttal to that is I think we've seen it. We've seen a lot of guys like Shemaev. A good example is, Khabib Nurmagomedov, 29-0, very similar style, a very good pressure fighter. But it's Khabib was never compromised before. I felt when Gilbert Burns fought him, like I thought that, I shouldn't say never, but anyways, back to the question. Why do you think that Khamzat, being unbiased, why do you think that he's like something the UFC's never seen, or what about him has the UFC never seen before?
Yeah, I can definitely answer that. And by the way, I can't. I don't know if I can be unbiased here. Like, I'll do my best. Obviously,
sure.
I've become.
I'm not to argue with you or anything. I just want to hear your thoughts.
I love this question. I'm so glad you asked it. Okay, so obviously, and Khabib also is something that we had never seen before up to that time. So what? I remember at one point, people at the beginning, when Khamzat was still unknown, he wasn't a name, people were calling him Khabib 2.0. People were even calling him the evil Khabib because it was he talked similarly. I think this was prior to more of the Russian fighters coming onto the scene. So he talked like Khabib. He said, brother, all this stuff, right? And he had a vicious ground and pound game. But I think the difference is that, and I'm not even necessarily saying one is better than the other, but the difference that I think Khamzat has, which is a bit different than Khabib, is the takedown, is that speed, is the ability to drop down like he does and shoot really fast. If you notice on the Robert Whittaker fight, the way he was able to get a hold of him was he shot from really far out. And I think most people would never have been able to get that takedown. Probably would have been an ill-advised takedown attempt, but he was able to close the distance because of that combination and then do his thing. On top of that, obviously the other differentiator between him and Khabib is the frenetic pace at which he fights in the first round. Whether it's ill-advised or not, Khabib was never in there with just this like diehard attitude of trying to finish the fight in the first round. I think the only fight where we didn't see him go for the first round finish really was the Gilbert Burns fight. Even in Kamaru Usman, although it went 3 rounds, he was trying to finish and nearly did finish in the first round. If you remember, that was a 10-8 round. So these are the things that I think are unknown or like a bit novel in the UFC. And then you also look at like DDP in particular, his competition. Lorosenko and Dean Thomas I'm going to make a video about it later. They made an amazing breakdown of the fight. And both of those guys, when they talk about the factors that weigh in favor of DDP winning versus Khamzat, they actually both picked Khamzat. And it's funny that Dean Thomas picked Khamzat because he's been criticizing Khamzat a lot and saying he'd be a terrible champion. But they both picked Khamzat for a couple of reasons. Obviously these physical attributes and the great jiu-jitsu in combination with also, all these things. Oh, by the way, I think he's better striking than Khabib. But I think the other thing is that they both felt, and this is what a lot of people have been saying, that Khamzat's cardio it's an exaggeration, meaning like he doesn't actually have bad cardio. It just might not be optimal cardio management at times, but him having a maybe a different type of game plan in combination with working with this new strength and conditioning coach, that may evaporate completely. So there's my long-winded answer. I'm going to see if we got some comments, but I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Oh, wait, we got somebody new in the mix. Hold on, let me just highlight this person. Tyrese Kenyon, welcome to the show. Dricus with the strength is a real problem, plus his durability, but I believe he can't defend early takedowns, and I think he can survive, but I don't think he can stop being taken down. Yeah, I think that tends to be the consensus, that he's not going to be able to fight the takedown. He just has to accept that it will happen. You just got to get a good game plan in place to get back up, weather the storm, etc. But Justin, let me turn it back over to you. What do you think of my take on Khamzat and what makes him different?
I think I can feel a little bit of bias because he's your favorite fighter, because
sure.
And that's totally fine. Like I'm always biased towards my fighters as well, or my favorites as well. So I totally understand that. And I'm not being opposing to that at all. But Khabib has taken some shots way far out, end up in a scramble, end up on top. You look at Merab, similar. You look at Islam, he's done the same thing. So I think in my opinion, I see what you're saying, but I don't want to use it as a totality in the UFC. I think in that division, in the middleweight division, yes, we've never seen before. I think it's a little bit of an exaggeration, because I think he's very similar to Khabib in a way. I think Khabib has better cardio management. I think he's very similar to Islam. Great, has good striking, has incredible wrestling. Then you look at Merab, who I think is even better than Khamzat. I think he doesn't even have any cardio management. He just goes and goes and goes and goes, and he just never gasses out. I think Khamzat's striking is a little bit better, but I see what you're saying. Probably in the middleweight division, you're probably right. Now, when you look at, I was just talking to somebody at the gym about this. It's like, because a big thing for me is like gassing out in fights. And, some people are saying that I don't have good cardio, and it isn't that, guys. Like, I train my butt off. But I think sometimes my management, because if you look at my record, out of my 17 wins, like 14 of them are finished in the first round. So I'm always looking for that quick finish, whether it's a knockout, whether it's a submission. But to hold that pace for 15 minutes, even when I'm in incredible shape, is really tough.
I think we lost you, Justin. I can't hear. Oh, you go ahead.
I'm almost on like 2 minutes from my. Ben has football practice, and it's unfortunate. I shouldn't say unfortunately, but he is my priority, and sometimes I'm driving.
Hey, Justin, it's getting really choppy. Why don't you just jump on when you get home? I'm gonna take you off, and then just jump back on when you have better Wi-Fi, and I'm gonna talk it over with everybody else here. So anyways, guys, let me respond to what Justin said. And I want to hear you guys chime in as well. MGAL4 Production says Chimaev takes everyone out right away. That's why he's so dominant. He also says it's a storm in round one with Chimaev. 100%. So I think what Justin says is probably, look, he's the seasoned fighter. If you guys are new to the channel, Tyrese, you might not know this, but Justin fought in the UFC, had 5 fights in the UFC. He trains at Extreme Couture, so he's a professional MMA fighter as well as a coach. He knows the game inside and out. I think that's probably a fair thing to say, that maybe it's not so novel as what I'm making it out to be, and perhaps it is reminiscent of Merab and Khabib and some of these other guys, and even Islam. But perhaps in this division, in this weight class, it's kind of like we look at somebody like Cyril Gane, for example, and we say the way he moves on his feet, his lightness, all these types of things. We've never seen it before. We've seen it before. We just haven't seen it per se at heavyweight, for example. And that's the novelty. So I think Justin makes a really good point. Tehran, I'd love to hear your thoughts, or MGAL4 Productions, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Western Mass Climber says, yo, sorry I'm late, lost track of time. No worries, Western. Welcome to the show. By the way, Western is our first ever mod. I don't know if anybody else is interested in being a moderator as well, but Western, welcome back. And for you guys who are members, I created the icons. Remember you were asking me to create the emojis or whatever. So if you guys want to use any of those emojis, you can test them out today and see if they work. Oh yeah, one other thing I want to mention too, if you guys haven't had a chance, I don't know if you guys are interested in any of our merch. We're starting to make some more merch. And we just populated a cool little tank top. I actually ordered samples already. They're coming next week. And then we got, what's up, Matthew? And then we also got a hoodie out right now and a coffee mug. So if you guys have any interest in supporting the channel and wanting to check out some of the new merch that we just posted, it's all up there right now. And hold on, let me add like Justin. I was just disconnecting you because the signal was really bad. So I was gonna say,
yeah,
maybe
my phone overheated. I'm in the car. I'll be home in fucking 90 seconds.
Okay, cool. But anyway, so I was just telling everybody about the new merch that I just posted if they want to check it out. If you guys are members, you can test out those new emojis. Oh, wait a minute. I don't see it. So I see Western put up a few of them, but they're not showing up on, hold on. They're not showing up in StreamYard. I want to see if they're showing up in actual YouTube. Give me 1 second. I'm going to test it out right now. He just used 3 of them in a row. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if it worked. Yeah, it worked on YouTube. For some reason in StreamYard, they don't show up the right way. But hey, Western just used our new emoji. So Justin, I didn't tell you what they are, but I made 4 of them. One of them says crazy with a picture of Connor. One of them says legend with a picture of Khamzat. And one of them says bull and then swear word with a picture of Colby.
I think you sent them to me. Because I was
like, yeah, maybe I did send it to you. Yeah, we could do more emojis if you guys have ideas. I just thought it was fun, and yeah, we did that. So Matthew is here. He says, "What's up, everybody?" I'll show this thing from Western. Hopefully, the actual emoji show up because on StreamYard for some reason they're not populating. I don't know why. But anyways, Justin, I responded to your statements and I said, you know what, you probably are correct in saying it's not totally out of the blue that we're seeing this type of skill set. Oh, we lost Justin again. But anyways, you guys get my point. Let me see what Tehran says here. Justin, I watched your Frank Camacho fight recently. You came at him right away. Oh, I'm going to show that to Justin. That's super cool. The other reason why I wanted to bring up this fight, guys, this is the fight. This is the one that I've been so excited about. I cannot wait. And again, I'll mention this is a fight that I will be going to. I'm going with a buddy of mine. We're heading there. We're heading to Chicago next week. And I'm really excited. I even got glasses in preparation to watch this fight. And may the best man win. Look, I've said without any sort of, trying to conceal it whatsoever. Obviously, Chimaev is my favorite fighter. I cannot wait for this fight. I'm super excited. I see some people getting like really heated and animated and emotional about the fight. And I think that means that we're really about to see a great fight. But at the end of the day, it's a beautiful sport. It's an amazing, and I've said this too, DDP is probably my second favorite fighter in the middleweight division. I believe Khamzat's going to get it done, and I'd love to see him get it done because I think he could have a great legacy in the UFC, but may the best man win, and that's the beauty of the sport. I see some folks getting a little wild in our comments in terms of the outcome of this fight or different things like that. And yeah, I just hope that everybody can be nice and civil and stuff like that in the comments. But just at the end of the day, recognize this is a sport. We're all weighing in. We're all having fun with our picks. But the beauty of this sport is anything can happen. That's the incredible part about it is there is this element of, hey, we don't know what the heck's going to happen. You could have a guy favored 9-1, a minus 900 or minus 1,000, and they could get clipped in the first 10 seconds. And that's the beauty of this game. And that's why this game is so absolutely special, in my opinion, because there is that beautiful balance of skill, of preparation. But at the end of the day, you have just a tinge of circumstance, happenstance, luck to some extent, right? Are you going to get that perfect, beautiful timing, or are they going to misread a feint or something like that early on? You could just take advantage of it. We see Jorge Masvidal beat Ben Askren so many years ago where everybody thought Ben Askren was going to win for sure. Ben Askren even himself said, I would beat Jorge Masvidal 99 times out of 100, right? But we have that chance, that instance to come up with the perfect game plan to catch somebody off guard and get a win when even the odds are against you. So this is amazing. Tyree said, I actually think DDP stand-up is good. DDP has great stand-up. I love DDP stand-up. You know, when we saw DDP fight against Sean Strickland, by the way, I feel like I predicted that fight really well. The second fight against Sean Strickland, I said it was DDP striking and the variation in his strikes, the fact that he throws a lot of different strikes versus Sean Strickland is kind of like a 1-2 teeth combo, right? Like it's a lot of jabbing, crossing, but a heavy emphasis on that jab and like not a lot of variability. With DDP, you don't know where the strikes are coming from, right? And that's one of the brilliant components of his game. But he says, I actually think his stand-up is good, 100%. The way Chimaev boxes, I can see him knocking Dricus out. I really think he will survive. Interesting. So Tyrese, tell me more. Why do you think that Dricus would be more likely to survive on the floor than stand-up? That's very interesting. So when Lorosenko and Dean Thomas broke down the fights and they looked back at DDP's prior fights, one thing that they noticed, which the Weasel also made a video about this, they looked at the fight where he fought what's his name? What's the wrestler that fought DDP? Derek Brunson. When he fought Derek Brunson, they're like, a lot of those positions that DDP got in against Derek Brunson, if it was against Chimaev, it would have been a wrap, which I agree. That being said, I'm sure DDP has improved since. I'm sure he's going to work on a Khamzat specific game plan. So I'm not saying it's going to go that same way or whatnot. But like, Tyrese, give me more details. Why do you think? What about DDP's ground game do you think makes him makes you think that he'll sustain be able to withstand the onslaught? And Justin, let me have you weigh in while we. Oh, look at this. Tyrese also said DDP versus Anyasada. He was out kicking Adesanya, which is insane. Oh, interesting. I have to look back or look at the sets. But Justin, yeah, what do you think about Tyrese's statement saying that he thinks that Khamzat can weather that DDP can weather the storm on the ground?
I think so. I mean, I rewatched the Whitaker fight just recently with DDP, and Robert Whitaker takes him down right away. But holding him down is tough, man. As long as he doesn't get submitted in that first round, which obviously is possible. We just saw it. We've seen Khamzat with so many great first round finishes. I mean, it's possible. The longer the fight goes, I think more in DDP's favor it goes. I think DDP has the more conservative gas tank, and he just has that. He has a consistent pace through the whole fight. He's not like Khamzat's going to come out. He's going to come out firing really hard. He's going to come out with aggressive takedowns. But again, going back to, I don't think Khamzat has bad cardio. I think just his output is so much, even when you're in great shape, just like I was saying about myself, like guys always, I get criticized for my cardio, and it's not that, man, I train my ass off. I go above and beyond, but holding that pace for 15 minutes or 25 minutes in this case, it's just really tough to do at that level.
It might even be a similar thing with Conor McGregor, right? He's very explosive. He uses a lot of energy. The way that he fights, we saw it with Big Rig in Fusion Fight League, right? That guy came out, Big Rig, the man at super heavyweight, hopefully not moving down to heavyweight, but he comes out explosive and he just burns himself out because he's going for a first round finish. So again, it's more of a management thing than necessarily being out of shape. All right, we got a couple of comments I want to highlight here. And by the way, there was a question specifically for you from Tehran. Tehran says, Justin, I watched your Frank Camacho fight recently. You came at him right away with pressure, even went on to knock him out. Just thought that I wanted to share that with you, that Tehran said that. That's super cool, Tehran.
And it was a short notice fight. I got the call Wednesday night. I had been training, but I hadn't been doing a lot of cardio rounds. So my goal was come out hard, be in his face, and either get knocked out or knock him out, man. And I rewatched that fight yesterday with some of my students. It's the best moment of my life. There's no question about it. And it's such a cool moment because throughout the fight, I can remember exactly what I was thinking. I can remember there's this one time where he hits me with a good jab. And I remember I have a very good mouthpiece. So it clicks in and it clicks out. So when he hit me with the jab, you can see me like take my tongue and put my mouthpiece back in. And I'm like, all right, motherfucker. And I remember thinking in my head, like, oh, that's all you got? Bang, left hook. Then it stumbled. And I was like, oh, shit, well, that works. So I throw it again. I threw 2 left hooks in a row. Second one dropped him, missed the overhand by about that much and was able to finish him. But there's another time I remember in the back, I'm like, I'm not ever going to take a step backwards. I'm just going to go forward the whole time. And if I get knocked out, it does. There's a time where Frank, great kickboxer, man. I have so much respect for Frank Camacho. He's had 2 or 3 fight of the night bonuses in the UFC. And he throws like a switch kick to my body. And I remember when he throws it, I step back. I block it, but I step backwards. And I remember thinking in my head very specifically is like,
don't you take another foot backwards, you dumb motherfucker, and then sleep that motherfucker. So anyways.
Hey, Justin, I have a question. And by the way, I'm going to get to the rest of you guys' comments real quick. Actually, wait, let me show a couple of these. I want to ask Justin a question specifically about what it's like in that best moment. Dr. Peener is back. The man, the myth, the legend. I hope the very handsome DDP, he is very handsome. Well, a very astute observation, defeats the very inactive Chimaev. Oh,
that's my biggest problem with Chimaev. I like Chimaev a lot. I think he's great for the sport. I think he's great for the UFC. I am a fan of Chimaev, but these long layoffs, it's just out of sight, out of mind.
Okay, let me tell you once again, me coming to the defense of Chimaev, and a lot of the Chimaev detractors are gonna be like, dude, come on. But tell me what you think about this. So I think one of the things, this is the thing I mentioned in the Dean Thomas video that I made, that's it's actually starting to pick up now, which is cool. But the inactivity, I think, is a combination of a couple of factors. This is a theory, okay, but this does happen to fighters that, like, it happened to Islam Makhachev when he was on the rise. It actually happened to Khabib as well. Once you start getting a real reputation, but you're not like the champion, right? People want to avoid you because it's a very difficult fight. So I think that's played into it partially. I think his health issues have played into it partially, but he's taken a lot of strides to now train in a more healthy way. He stays away from, if you listen to his interviews, he stays away from big crowds now and stuff like that. And then also we had the visa issues, which obviously have now been resolved with the new president coming in, the relationship with Dana White, etc. So I think a lot of these things have been resolved. Also, once you're champ, people aren't going to avoid you. It's not going to be as hard to make fights. Whoever they're going to send to him, I think he's going to take. And so I think a lot of these inactivity issues are going to go away. But that's my 2 cents. And that's also me being optimistic because I want to see him fight more regularly. How cool would it be? 3 Khamzat fights a year and he's champ and they're all champions. I mean, it would be incredible for fans, for the UFC, etc. Matthew says, I really think it's a 50-50 fight. DDP always been doubted, so it's hard to think that again. But Chimaev is I know. It's exactly, you basically took the words right out of my mouth. That's exactly how I feel. I do. To me, I feel like Chimaev is favored in this fight, just like the odds makers. But that it's a beautiful fight. It's a brilliant fight. And by the way, DDP is usually been picked as the underdog in most of these fights, so that also throws some interesting spices on the fight as well. Simo Jato might be new to the channel. Khamzat is MMA GOAT. I'm right with you, brother. I'm right with you. Tyrese says, I don't think Khamzat's fought someone with the strength through the rounds, and I do agree with the Brunson fight. I just think DDP can grapple too, and Brunson also. Brunson might be an underrated wrestler. But I think MMA wrestling, I think Khamzat is like 10 times better, even though Brunson is like a credentialed wrestler. But that's my 2 cents. I also don't think Brunson has the jiu-jitsu skills that Khamzat has. I think Khamzat is very, very well versed in jiu-jitsu comparatively. Tyrese says, all depends on the first round, though, I guess. I think the first round is going to be very, very tough. I can't wait. I don't know what's going to happen, man. Khabib's telling Khamzat that he should go strike. Khamzat saying, like, if I feel, one of the things that Khamzat said is that he'll feel out a guy very early on, and if he feels like he can get the finish, he's going to go for it. So the first round is going to be crazy. It's going to be Khamzat going in there, feeling it out, and if he feels like he can get it, we're going to see a crazy first round. Whether that will be the end or not, we shall see, but it's pretty nuts. Tehran said, when was Khamzat's last fight? October of last year. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Did you know that?
Yeah. Well, it was when we were in Vegas. I remember it was it was close to the Halloween party, but I didn't know if it was on Halloween or, exactly. If the fight ends in rounds 1 through 3, this is a very common narrative that people have been saying. Khamzat said he came close to retiring from the sport. Yeah, back when he was really sick, because actually he thought he had cancer at one point, and then the doctors clarified. So he thought he didn't know what else to say to his family. This is in his own words, but then he eventually obviously didn't retire. I hope they give Khamzat a custom fight kit. I hope so too. All right,
his request.
We've talked a lot about this fight, and I know it's just one of 6 topics that we want to cover today. Before we move on, 2 questions now, Justin. Number 1, on a scale of 1 to 10. How excited are you for this fight? And my follow-up question is, are you still standing firm with your pick of DDP? Take it away.
My heart wants DDP to win. I know that just because, again, the underdog story, everyone loves the underdog story. Me being the underdog, and every fight I had in the UFC, I was at least a plus 200 underdog. So, like, when I see someone like DDP who keeps defying the odds and keeps winning, and, I have so much respect for Sean Strickland, regardless of our personal issues we've had in the past. I have so much respect for Sean. I see how hard he trains and what DDP was able to do to him, not once, but twice, what DDP was able to do to Adesanya, what DDP's been able to do over and over and over. And I've doubted him so many times. And, when you have someone like Khamzat who's just expected to win and be this Terminator style fighter, man, I think Khamzat's probably going to win, but my money's going on DDP, man. He keeps defying the odds, and I hope he defies the odds this time. And I'm a Khamzat fan, and I'm not just saying I want DDP to win because he's your favorite fighter, and I think it'd be good for our channel of the banter we can get back and forth and with everybody else. But that isn't the reason. I'm a huge Khamzat fan. I'll be happy for him if he wins. But man, I love a true underdog story, and DDP is the greatest underdog the UFC has ever had.
1 to 10, how excited are you for this fight?
I give it a 6 to an 8. 6 to an 8.
Wow.
I'm very excited. I mean, and that's a high. I'm excited about this fight. This is probably I'm more excited for this fight. It's probably, if I had to put my lineup, second to JDM and Islam. That's the fight I'm most excited about.
That's a dope fight.
I just love seeing guys going for it, going for the unthinkable. Like, I know I didn't have a great career in the UFC, but where I'm from, and one day you'll see where I'm from. It's like I come from nothing, and to do what I did is unheard of where I come from. And I know as a grand scheme of things, a lot of people consider it a failure, but it was the unthinkable. I'm an underdog. I'm from a poor blue collar family. I moved out to Vegas by myself with $2,000, and I was able to overcome the odds and become a part of that group that's the 0.1% of professional MMA fighters in the world. And again, some people may say I had an unsuccessful career, but considering where I came from, considering the coaching I had up until I was 21 years old, like, I really did some great things. So I always want a true underdog story. And, when I see someone like Islam going for double champ status, it's just, man, that gets really exciting. And that's why I'm excited about DDP, because I'm always the underdog. And when I was able to overcome those odds, and I just always love seeing the guy that's not supposed to win get on top. And that's why I'm so excited for DDP.
Cannot wait. I got to say I'm a 10 out of 10. Obviously, if that wasn't already obvious, but I'm also super excited for JDM Islam. I cannot wait for this fight. One last thing I want to say. It's funny you mentioned that thing. By the way, everybody, if you're on the stream right now, we got a nice little crew on here. If you guys could click that like button, we really appreciate it. It helps the stream in terms of the numbers and helps get the word out about the shows we're trying to grow. So we'd really appreciate that. But, you mentioned that a lot of people might look at your career or something as a failure, quote unquote. It's funny, the people that would look at it as a failure, right? It's like, I think a lot of times in this game, it can happen to anybody. Okay. I'm not trying to pick on certain people or whatnot, but I think that when we look at professional athletes, all of a sudden, it's like the type of criticism that we apply to them makes no sense. Like, for example, if you're in high school and you're both on the basketball team and you have a guy that's starting on the team and is the lead point guard and they score 30 points a game and you're riding the bench the whole time, right? Let's say one game they score 20 points. You wouldn't be, as the bench player, be like, dude, you suck, man. Normally you get 30 points a game and this time you only got 20. He'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? You're riding the bench, dog. Like, what? Like, why should you even right? And I think that's what happens a lot of times with the criticism. We're all in the same boat. We're all humans. We're all here kind of on equal footing competing. And it's like, once they go into that professional athlete realm, it's like, we don't even look at them as people anymore. And we're just like, oh, but now if you're not at the top of the top within the professional athlete realm, I can criticize you because you're not as good as, John Jones or Tom Aspinall or something like it's like Bizarro land. Something weird happens. I don't know why exactly that happens, because it doesn't really logically make sense. It's sort of like, it would be like criticizing a guy who's worth $100 million, and let's say they lose 10 million of their net worth, and be like, dude, you're broke, dog. You lost 10% of your net worth overnight. Like, you suck. And it's like, wait a minute, but my net worth's more than you. Why are you criticizing? Like, that doesn't make, it's sort of it's almost like it's just completely illogical. I just want to say that in your defense, but no, getting to the UFC period, getting to the NBA period, getting to the NFL period, goes without saying. It's an insane accomplishment. On top of that, having 79 fights, never pulling out of one. I mean, that beats Conor McGregor right there.
I have to revoke that statement.
Why?
I had to revoke that statement. I pulled out of a fight once. I forgot about it, but
when?
I was supposed to fight Let Me Bang Lane. What's his name?
Julian Lang or whatever.
Fight Julian Lane, and I had to get neck surgery.
Okay, I think that's a fair.
I was scheduled to. I went to rehab. I did everything, and we were scheduled to fight. I think I was like 4 weeks out, and unfortunately, I did have to back out of that fight. But I got neck surgery like a month after that.
Oh my God, that would have been such a cool fight to have. That guy.
I actually think it would have been a really boring fight for the fans, because my whole game plan was to take him down and just hold him down and gas him out and maybe finish him, because Julian, now he is the welterweight champ of BKFC.
That's crazy.
I mean, Julian's a crazy motherfucker, man. And, unfortunately, the game plan was to take him down, but I probably would have found myself in a slugfest. And, Julian and I was going to have so much fun talking shit. And I wrote him an email when I had to back out. It's the only fight I've ever had to back out. But in case you guys didn't know, I had disc. Oh, you can't really even see my scar. Yeah, you see this line right here. I had a herniated disc, and I lost mobility on my left side. And so I had to get neck surgery and get a disc replacement in there.
That's crazy.
Unfortunately, I had to back out of that fight. So I have backed out of one.
All those surgeries you guys get are crazy. All right, you were going to fight that clown. You would have KO'd him. And then Tehran giving you support. I mean, this is exactly the right sentiment. Like somebody like Tehran, or I feel like a lot of the folks on our chat and on our channel usually are like very reasonable, respectful, etc. I think that's like the kind of community we're building, because that's the kind of show that we have, It says none of them have the guts to step their lazy, what's in a cage. Look, that's the way that I always feel. Like, obviously I've criticized like Colby Covington for things that he does outside of the cage and the things I think are disrespectful that I don't appreciate. But like, it doesn't really make sense to go out and criticize fighters, especially for me. I mean, I think Tehran, maybe you've had a couple fights, but like I've never even stepped into a cage. I don't even have the guts to do that. So it just doesn't even, the whole thing is kind of logically very interesting. Anyways, we got to move on because we talked about this fight way too long. Not that it doesn't deserve a lot of attention. And guess what? We're going to talk about it again on Monday. We're going to talk about it a lot next Friday when I'm going to be in Chicago during our show, which is going to be super cool. But anyways, let's talk Aaron Pico. I want to talk Aaron Pico because here's the thing that I'm really fascinated by. Most people are picking Lerone Murphy to beat Aaron Pico. Most of the people that I've been listening to. And it kind of surprises me because we talked about Aaron Pico's resume, and maybe I'm missing something, or maybe you disagree, Justin, knowing Aaron Pico and you know a little bit more about the PFL and Bellator and whatnot. But as Aaron Pico's coming in, I've seen his fight highlights. Granted, I haven't watched like all of his fights in their entirety because I just don't watch PFL and Bellator that much. But I've seen his fight highlights. They look amazing. It looks like he's got crazy power in his strikes, kind of like a Justin Gaethje strike power type of guy. But then his wrestling credentials are out of control. Not saying that, right, we see guys that fall away from wrestling because they're not practicing it on the regular. Maybe that's what's happened to him. But I just look at the credentials. I look at his highlight reel, and I'm like, how is it that everybody, and Lerone Murphy's a legend, but I feel like Aaron Pico's skill set is just superior to Lerone Murphy's. Like, am I missing something? That's what I wanted to ask you.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of guys like Aaron Pico, you look at guys like Gray Maynard, and again, I'm not comparing myself to these world champions or anything, or even Aaron Pico, but even myself, like we have this very good wrestling base, and then, wrestling's tough. And then we fall in love with striking. And, we learned that like Aaron Pico has incredible power in his hands. So like you start striking more and start trying to knock guys out. So you start playing into other guys' games. I like to go back when I fought Gabriel Benitez, and, my coach Roman's like, all right, let's just get this guy down. He has incredible kickboxing. And it's funny because me as a competitor, I didn't hear, let's get this guy to the ground. All I heard was, this guy has incredible kickboxing. And I remember thinking, oh, what, I don't? No, I'm going to knock this motherfucker out. I didn't even listen to the whole, hey, let's get this guy to the ground. All I heard was, this guy has incredible kickboxing. And he did have incredible kickboxing. And he finished me on the feet. But regardless, and another thing I heard was his coach says that he kicks harder than anybody he's ever worked with. And if you know who his coach is, who's his coach?
I don't know. Who?
Javier Mendez.
Oh.
Right? So when someone like Javier Mendez says, when he holds pads for him and he can feel his shin bone kicked through the pads, I remember thinking, all right, well, I want to get kicked by him. And he kicked me, and I remember thinking, oh, he doesn't kick that hard. And then I ate a knee coming right up the middle and called my night early. But a lot, again, back to the ego in that is Aaron Pico has this incredible background of wrestling, but nobody wants to watch wrestling. People want to see knockouts, and Aaron Pico has knockout power. So is Aaron Pico going to play to his strengths of power wrestling and power striking, or is he going to be like Gray Maynard, who later on in his career didn't wrestle at all? If you look at Gray Maynard, he was undefeated, fought Frankie Edgar for the UFC championship, but he started working with Extreme Couture, and I know this personally because I was a part of it. I was a part of his camps. I took ass whippings from Gray Maynard when he was getting ready for Frankie Edgar. He started working with a boxing coach, and he stopped wrestling. He stopped grinding, and he just started striking. And then he got punch drunk. Then he got chinny. Then he just got knocked out over and over and over. Is Aaron Pico, and this happens all the time, these incredible wrestlers find striking, they find power in their striking, they abandon what they're good at. If Aaron Pico can continue to wrestle, if Aaron can Pico can continue to learn grappling and focus his striking towards his grappling, he's going to have a lot of success. But if he becomes a striker, a pure striker, it's going to be a long night for him.
So this is what Tehran says, by the way. Tehran said he is going with Pico by late KO. He also says Pico's a smarter version of Michael Chandler. So maybe to speak to your point.
Yes. Oh, yeah, Michael Chandler, perfect example right there. Incredible Division I wrestler. He doesn't wrestle in his fights. He wants exciting fights, and that's what happens.
Matthew says, I'd say Pico with the KO, but look how the last few other fighters struggled in their first UFC fight. Yeah, I feel like that's so person dependent, so preparation dependent. You know, sometimes people can fall victim to the jitters. You also probably have people who perform better under the bright lights. I don't know, right? Like, I think there's a lot of variables in that particular component of the equation. Tehran says Pico used to train his boxing with legendary, Freddie Roach, legendary boxing coach. By the way, going back to, you mentioned the ego and the striking, you know, if you watch back the Khabib versus Conor fight, they now have versions where you can hear exactly what Javier Mendez and the boys are saying in the corner. And in round 3, they're all screaming at Khabib to shoot a takedown and to get Conor to the ground, and he wouldn't do it because he wanted to show, I think he wanted to show that he could strike with him. Other people say that he was taking the round off because he was tired, because he almost finished Conor in round 3. But either way, could potentially be an example of that ego being like, okay, I whooped you the first 2 rounds. Now you said you could beat me striking, right? Let's see what you got. And then Khabib had I think a pretty successful 3rd round, actually standing and begging with Conor McGregor.
Dropped him.
Did drop him. I think didn't he drop him in the 2nd round though? I can't remember when he dropped him with the cross. But I've seen that fight like a million times. I've watched it over and over. All right, now we got some news, no longer breaking news anymore, but I think this came out yesterday or 2 days ago. What the heck? Oliveira versus Fiziev was announced, and I think what's this happening in October, November? Hold on, let me double check the date. But I think a lot of
early October, like October 4th or something.
Yeah, like people were even saying what's going on with October 11th. October 11th. That's 3 months, dude. That's less than 3 months since he got knocked out. No, sorry, less than 4 months. Excuse me. October's 10th, but it's like 3.5 months. I don't even know what to say. Like, what is your take as a fellow fighter, as a fellow coach?
Well, I don't want to go too deep on this because this is my next topic that I'm making a video about. So I'll just scratch the surface with this. But to me,
Justin, can you try and get a little closer to the
sorry,
mic?
I bet, yeah. For me, like I said, I want to make a video about this. This is very interesting. But Oliveira has struggled in his last couple fights. He just got brutally knocked out by Topuria for the championship. Unfortunately for Oliveira, I feel that UFC sees this as, hey, Oliveira is starting to lose a little bit in fights. Let's give Fiziev a chance for like a passing of the torch right now, because I don't see Oliveira ever getting back to championship fighting status. I think he's always going to be a legend of the sport. And right now he still has he's lost a couple fights, but he still has that name, and he still has that I don't know, that aurora behind him, that he's still this great fighter, and he is a great fighter. But I think this is the UFC pushing him out and give Fiziev a chance to knock out an old legend.
Yeah, but do you think Fiziev? Okay, you obviously can analyze the styles and the breakdown and the matchup way better than me, but I mean, from my vantage point, I don't see Fiziev having a great chance. I mean, first of all, do you think who's striking do you think is better, Oliveira or Justin Gaethje's? I
think Oliveira's is way cleaner.
So he's got better striking. Obviously, he's got crazy submissions in jiu-jitsu. I mean, I don't know. I feel like
what's his motivation? What's his motivation? And think about what the UFC sees too. Like if Oliveira beats Fiziev, okay, now Oliveira is back, and he's already fought everybody at the top. So everything he's doing is just rinse and repeat matchups.
True.
They're giving Fiziev a chance to get in there. And if Fiziev loses, okay, Oliveira is going to be back in the mix, and that's great. But if he wins, though, now we have all these new incredible matchups, and for Fiziev to take on, he just beat Oliveira. So you got to look at it from a business standpoint. You know, Oliveira, were they going to put him against Topuria again? He just got knocked out in the first round. They're going to put him against Justin Gaethje? No. They're going to put him against Dustin Poirier? No. Like, he's already been there and done that. Like, they're giving Fiziev a chance to change up the division, because all these matchups are rinse and repeat.
So let's talk about this a little bit in terms of, Okay, so Fiziev goes in there. You mentioned the business aspect of the UFC. So they want this fight to happen because it gives Fiziev a chance to rise up the ranks and whatever. But to get somebody like Oliveira to agree to a fight like this, especially with that short turnaround, because I think that lends credibility to your theory that they're trying to give Fiziev a chance to get elevated, to move up, to make fresh mashups, right? They probably wanted him to take this in close proximity to his last knockout because it increases the likelihood, I hate to say, but increases the likelihood of Fiziev winning. And on top of that, I don't think Oliveira necessarily, it's not like, oh, my next fight, I want to fight Fiziev. It probably wasn't somebody he wanted to fight. So my question to you is, just as a theory, do you believe, therefore, that in order to make this fight happen and get Oliveira to sign on the dotted line, they had to offer him a bit of a bonus or something really nice on the payment side to get him to do this?
No, I know how they offered it. Hey, man, Justin Gaethje just beat this guy pretty handily. You beat Justin Gaethje. Here's a great matchup for you. If you can't beat this guy, you don't deserve to be in the top 5 anymore.
Okay. Well,
I mean, they probably didn't say that ending of it. But they're like, hey, man, here's a favorable matchup. And you have to take it in 3 months or within 4 months of your last, or it has to be on this day. We're giving you an easier matchup. Justin Gaethje's already beat this guy. You beat Justin Gaethje in MMA. Hypothetical, like, well, Justin Gaethje beat him, so you beat Justin Gaethje, like, all right, you should win this matchup. So maybe I'm sure they proposed it to Oliveira because he's a legend in not only the lightweight division but in the UFC. Like, hey, man, here's a favorable matchup. If you can't beat this guy, like, you're not really good to us anymore. You're not good for our brand anymore.
Oof. Brutal. Okay, well, there we go.
It's a business, guys. It's a business, and it's again coming from my blue collar roots. Like, I always thought, like, I did so many favors for the UFC. I showed up on 3-day notice twice against some crazy fighters. I went from 185 to 145 in 4 weeks. I remember when I stepped on the scale, I was 185 pounds, and the guy at the PI looked at me. He goes, "There's no chance you can make 145 in 4 weeks." Oh, here's my ego. Yeah, bet I can. I fucking did anyways, and I felt like shit, and I gassed. I got my ass whipped, and it fucking sucked. But I did all these favors for the UFC, thinking like, oh, they'll recognize this, and they'll give me a favor on the back end. No. Them giving me short notice fights in their eyes was a favor for them. Oliveira has done so much more. He's a former champ, and I'm willing to bet that they think they're giving him a favor. They're doing a favor for him by giving him a favorable matchup this late in his career. With that being said, the other side of the table is they're doing a favor for Fiziev as well to give him a chance to catapult himself in the top 5 or top 8.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's going to be, but I will say this. Okay. By the way,
sorry to interrupt you, but just to go back, I'm sorry. And I'm going to basically say what I just said, but when matchmakers are pitching, when Sean Shelby, Mick Maynard are pitching, they want to make it sound like they're doing you a favor. Hey, Oliveira, here's a great matchup for you. Here, the stipulation is it has to be October 11th, but you should win this fight. And then he's going to be like, okay, that's a great matchup. Now, Fiziev, hey, Fiziev, we're going to give you Oliveira. He just got knocked out. This is a chance for you to come in and staple yourself in the top 10 in the UFC. Oh, fuck. Now you have 2 motivated guys that plan and anticipate to win this fight, which creates a great fight in the long run.
Got you. So we got a couple people weighing in. We got Tehran says, I do believe DeBronx beats Fiziev, but hey, it's gonna be a fun fight regardless. I can't wait for the fight, by the way, just to make that clear. I am actually excited for the fight. I just was a little surprised. And this is the fight that we actually thought was going to happen, which Tehran says Oliveira wanted Holloway. A lot of people were saying that's the fight to make, Holloway versus Oliveira next. But as Justin made a video, if you guys didn't check it out, we have what's it called? Max Holloway out until 2026, which sucks, but it is what it is. 50 rubles in the mix. Who the fuck is this guy? I don't know. It's Justin Jays and Huzefa. What's up? Welcome to the show. And then we also have Western using our new emojis saying, nailed it to Justin. Well done. Okay, there it is. So this is the fight that was just announced. Again, to me, it was a shock when I saw it. I wasn't expecting it, but I guess Justin just really explained the why behind it. And regardless, I'm excited for that fight. So let's go. Just happy to see Fiziev fight somebody other than Justin Gaethje. Now let's move into topic number 4. So this is one that I wanted to talk about specifically because, as you know, I love Muay Thai so much. I train myself. I've been training for some time now, and I was listening to. I had a long drive yesterday, and during the drive, I was listening to Joe Rogan's interview of Khalil Rountree, and it's actually a really cool interview. If you haven't checked it out, there are parts of it I think that are really interesting, talking about what Khalil said about Alex Pereira, saying that Alex Pereira is for real. He said he's never been hit as hard as he got hit by Alex Pereira, a bunch of other things. But one of the coolest things about Khalil and his success, right? He just went in and he He beat Jamal Hill pretty handily in Baku. Now he's coming back and he's fighting Yuri Prohaska. But what to me is so fascinating about this guy is he's now 35, I believe, and he's only been training since he was 20. And he's pretty much a straight up Muay Thai guy. You know, I mean, he pretty much, even the commentators have said in the midst of fights that when he fights very much like a straight up traditional Muay Thai fighter. So Justin, what I wanted to ask you about in particular is when we look at the striking martial arts, we look at kickboxing, karate, taekwondo, whatever, and then we talk about Muay Thai, which seems to be the most prominent and prevalent in the UFC now. But now we have somebody who almost is purely fighting Muay Thai in the MMA cage. Justin, what does this say to you about the power of Muay Thai in particular in just hand-to-hand combat as a martial art?
You know, for his Muay Thai, it's a great rangy. So boxing is in close. You know, when you see guys box, they're elbow to elbow. You know, their foreheads are almost touching. Well, it's not prevalent in MMA because you'll get taken down. You're too close. Now you have someone like Khalil Rountree. I don't want to disagree with what you're saying. I don't want to say he's just fighting Muay Thai. I want to say he's fighting MMA because with his stance and with his base, he's so strong that it's very, very hard to take him down. So although he's primarily in a Muay Thai stance fighting Muay Thai, his wrestling defense is insane. Like taking him down because he's so strong. If he's standing traditional Muay Thai, and I'm going to try to do this from afar, like if you watch, I've watched traditional Muay Thai in Thailand, guy, hey, you know, they're like that's traditional Muay Thai to me. He's in a kickboxing stance where his chest and his shoulders are slightly forward to where if someone shoots in, he can stop the takedown and kick back. He doesn't fight off his back leg. He fights off his back leg. He's more prevalent to being taken down because all you have to do is shift his chest or his belly over his planted leg. That's why when guys do, and I don't know if you do it because when you train Muay Thai, like I fucking hate when guys do high checks. You guys know what I'm talking about? Like a traditional check.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Where guys are like this.
Yes.
That's not good in MMA. And I know Muay Thai guys argue with me, and I don't really give a fuck because those guys, I fought in the UFC and you didn't, so your word doesn't mean anything to me. But when you're on one foot in MMA, it's compromising. It's compromising. If I am fighting somebody and they go for a high check, I almost laugh in my head because I'm about to fuck them up. I have so many ways to beat it. If you guys are on our channel, I came out with 2 great videos of how to beat the high check, and it's so easy. And it's not easy in traditional Muay Thai because you can only kick and punch. But with MMA, if I can get you on one foot, I am gonna mess you up. So
you know when? Oh, go ahead. No,
I was just gonna say so. To just, and again, I'm not saying you're wrong because he is a Muay Thai fighter and he goes to Thailand, he trains in Muay Thai. But we have, just like Alex Pereira, great kickboxer. Some people even say Muay Thai, but it's his wrestling defense that makes his kickboxing so good. It's not just his Thai striking.
So actually, it's funny that you mentioned that now that I think about it, because my coach hasn't had me train the high check. Usually when I'm getting a roundhouse, I basically block it with the guard, right? Like a high kick. Or I bring the elbow down. So maybe he's already been training me with that modified version to correct for MMA. We got a couple of comments I want to read, by the way. John Dong is back in the mix. What's up?
Johnny, what's up?
I know John D because we're always in the MMA Joey chats together. So what's up? And he goes, it's crazy that next week is Khamzat's first time. I know, dog. Dude, if you guys haven't checked it out, and John Dong, you can check it out. I made an entire documentary on Khamzat. It's kind of like our main trailer video right now on the channel. So check it out. I'm going to keep it as the trailer until we get to the fight, but make sure to check that out. But yeah, it's crazy. That's what I said. For a lot of Khamzat fans, we've been thinking that he was probably going to get a title shot back in 2021, and it just never happened for a number of reasons. So for Khamzat fans, I think it's just like, it's so exciting that this is finally happening. And then on the flip side, who better to have at the top than somebody like DDP, who is confusing so many fighters, who is achieving all these great things and has built up this phenomenal resume. That's why this fight, even though you could say Ilya versus Islam, once they're both like double champs, from the accolades perspective, could be more interesting and could be like bigger stakes. But from skill to skill, from the hype behind both of these guys, almost like negative hype from DDP that's been flipped to positive versus Khamzat is just being like, can anybody stop this guy, right? Like there's almost this aura around him, or mythical aura, right? To see these guys finally clash, I mean, it's just absolutely unbelievable. I think it's the UFC at its finest. 50 Rubles asked to Justin, what I want to ask Justin is, why is he so grumpy all the time? What makes you think Justin is grumpy? He's passionate about his stance. But 50 Ruble, I think, is also slightly trolling us. So you got to take what he says with a grain of salt. Matthew, Rountree has been looking good his last couple of fights. Dude, he's been looking good. He's been looking phenomenal. Don't you think, Justin?
No, I don't think he's been looking good. I think
Rountree has not been looking good?
Motherfucker, can I finish talking?
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm just teasing. I don't think he's looking good. I think he's looking phenomenal. And one thing that I've talked about through the videos and on the show a lot about Rountree is he gets better every single fight, man. Like, this guy looks improved every fight. And, you know, when you get to a certain point in your career, you know, like for me, for instance, like when I first started training, I skyrocketed. I got really good at grappling. I got really good at striking, all within, 4 or 5 years. Now I get to 5 years, you start to slowly plateau. And although you're still getting better, you're still getting new coaches. When I started working with Jake Shields, I felt that I had a spike in my grappling. But from a standpoint, as you get better, you slow your progression down. Not Khalil Rountree. I think he started later in his life. So he's still on that upward trajectory of every time he steps in the cage, I'm seeing new techniques. I'm seeing him getting smarter. I'm seeing his energy conservation getting better and better. His techniques getting better. His grappling defense is getting better. When you look at someone like me, who's been around for 79 fights, I've been fighting since 2007, like my gauge from 2007 to 2018, I was on this upward trajectory. But at 18, I started to plateau a little bit. Then I got Jake Shields and I went up again, but I plateaued again. We're not seeing that with Khalil Rountree. This guy is a new and improved fighter every time he steps in the ring. And that's why Jamal Hill is a friend of mine. We grew up on the regional circuit together. We've trained together at Extreme Couture. We've done podcasts together. He's at that plateau state. I thought when he got in the UFC, he was still rising. But as he lost to Alex Pereira, as he's lost to Khalil now, I feel he's slowly tapering out, and guys are figuring him out. And when you start to get figured out, that's when you need to change a game plan, change a coach. I think that happened to me as well. I just got stuck in my ways, and I feel Jamal Hill is kind of stuck in his ways. He's doing the same things, and guys can figure that out. You know, that's just like the evolution of sports. Right-handed fighters are fighting southpaw now. Southpaw fighters are switching to being right-handed. So it's with evolution, you have to be able to change your game. And again, just reiterating, Khalil Rountree has looked phenomenal, and he looks more best improved every fight.
How exciting is it that we got Rountree going up against Yuri, who also is looking new and improved, who's also learning in real time, who looked way better with his head movement and a lot of his other techniques in this most recent fight versus when he lost to Pereira. So it's like both of these guys are coming off losses to Pereira, better and improved and trying to go back for that title shot. And they're both super excited, like, yo, I'm telling you, it's such a good time to be a UFC fan right now. By the way, guys, make sure to click that like button on the stream if you haven't done so. As I mentioned before, all of the engagement helps us tremendously. And also check out our merch. We got a new merch partner now, and so we just created a couple new shirts, a shirt, a hoodie, and a mug as well. So really appreciate that. And last but not least, if you haven't known, we started a membership as well. If you want to learn how to train, Justin's got a ton of training videos that we're uploading regularly. So you can learn technique, learn exercise, whether or not you want to get into shape or for self-defense as well. You can do all that stuff independently through our membership program. King Terzi is back in the mix. Let's go. What's up, my fellow Khamzat fan? Now, Justin, he's calling you out a little bit, but it's all good. Justin,
hey, King Terzi, like, you just got on the show. You missed our whole talk. I literally just stroked Khamzat for like 5 minutes and said how great he is.
Yeah.
So I'm not biased, dude. I already answered this question.
No, it's all good. It goes the same way. I get people going crazy on me who like hate Khamzat.
I literally just talked about how great he was, and I think he's great for the sport. I think he's probably going to win the fight, but I would like to see DDP win because I like it. So I'll just do the short version of the story. I think he's a great fighter. I think he's incredible. Especially for the middleweight division. Huzaifa said early on that we've never seen anything like him. I disagree with that. We've seen fighters at different weight classes that are similar to him. You look at Habib, you look at Islam, you look at Merab, constantly shooting. They can shoot from far away. I think Khamzat's probably going to win this fight, but there's nothing I like more than an underdog story. DDP's become one of my favorite fighters just because I've lost so much money on him betting against him, and I love a true underdog story. If Khamzat wins, I'm going to be just as happy as if DDP wins. This is a great fight for the fans. I love Khamzat. I love the way he talks. I've trained with him in the gym. He's super nice. He's super polite. I am not biased towards Khamzat. I like to, ruffle Huzaifa's feathers a little bit. but it's all in good fun, and he doesn't get offended by it. So to answer your question, I'm not biased. I'm not jealous. What jealous? Come on, man. Don't I'm a fucking 36-year-old adult. Like, I'm not jealous of other men. Trust me.
Okay, we'll just and don't get too heated. We'll just play the rest of King Tersey's comments, and then we're going to move on. And by the way, I will say I am hoping that Khamzat wins. I am more on that side, but I will 100% give DDP his flowers. Look, if Khamzat's going to lose to somebody, I want it to be DDP. You know what I'm saying? Because DDP is still very underrated. And I'm not talking about his fighting ability. I'm talking about his draw and his appeal as a fighter in the UFC. You got to listen. For those of you guys who don't listen to the fighter interviews, you're missing out, especially when you just hear DDP's recent interview with Ariel, and you'll see how deep and intelligent he is. You'll see the way that he approaches the game, and he is cutthroat. He actually said too, he's like, dude, he was like, oh, would you fight your teammate or your friend if at RDR you train with him? Would that get murky? He was like, what are you talking about? It's not about that. I would fight my brother if I had to, and I'd try to kill him. Like, he said it straight up. Come on, like, that's a fighter. That's a guy that I know Justin can respect. But anyways, he says Merab is the decision merch. Oh, don't. Okay, he's going. Well, hey, Justin trains with Merab, so we want to. But anyways, and then because he doesn't finish guys, Islam strikes primarily, and Khabib faced nobody the level Khamzat is faced with takedown defense. Show some respect. Okay, we got the Khamzat fans out and about. So let's go. Western says, Justin, you should take 21 more fights for triple digits.
It was my goal, man, but I'm just, after neck surgery, man, I'm just not the same as I used to be. When I hit my 50th fight, I was like, I'm halfway to 100. Like, I'm going to do 100 fights, but unfortunately my body isn't just holding up. I finally wrestled live for the first time in 6 weeks this past. There's just no way I could put 21 more fight camps.
No. Justin's doing this thing now. He's got the commentating thing going. We don't need 21 more fights. I think we're on a great run here and having a ton of fun. But he said he might take a couple.
I'll probably take at least a couple more.
Yeah. So we'll let you guys know when that goes down. You guys should show up wearing some of the 10-7 merch. That'd be baller. Matthew says Jamal is definitely plateaued. Well, he's taking time off to retool, so we never know. He might come back fresh and looking better. So there's always that chance. We got a couple more comments. I don't know, recognize this name. No, actually, I think this guy's been here before, but I don't know how to say the name because it looks like Russian characters. He says, "What's up?"
Hold on. Oh, I want to get to rubles. How much did I spend on this shirt? Wait, well, I'll give you a good idea. When you make it to the UFC like I did, you get free shit from the UFC and all my UFC gear. I've never bought a UFC shirt. I've never bought a UFC pants, but I have a ton of it. So to answer your question, hey, if you want any handouts, hell, I'll mail you some because I have so much. I've never even wore all of it. So obviously you seem like you might need some handouts, man. I'd be happy to send you something. I'll even sign it for you if you want.
There you go, 50 rubles. You got some free gear just now. Salam alaikum from, again, I can't pronounce the name. Maybe if you could write it out phonetically, I'll say your name because of the Russian characters. Maybe it's Baktop something. I'm not exactly sure. Dr. Peener is back in the mix. Sorry, I was operating a motor vehicle safely. I love Fizzy Pop. He's jacked but looks small still at the top of the division. Gaethje looked a class up. Rountree ferocity is wild. He punt kicks dudes. I like it when Dr. Peener every now and then chimes in with like a real comment, but then most of the other ones are just kind of like funny trolls about penises. It's good to like have the mix it up there. And King Tersey says, okay, just again backing Khamzat. No, you haven't seen anyone like him. I mean, that's kind of how I feel. But I do think Justin makes a good point. But
I have a question for Tersey, and I don't want to because I want to hear what you have to say as well. But what about him? And I'm just for argument's sake, and I'm not. I mean, you've said this a couple of times. Huzaifa said it too.
Yeah.
What about him is so special? I mean, he's an incredible fighter. He's great. His technique is great. But, I mean, Khabib shot from way far away. And if you want to say, well, he's never fought someone like Khamzat who has takedown defense like him. Well, who has Khamzat fought that is known for his takedown defense?
Usman. I think he's
okay, Usman, but a washed Usman and a short notice Usman. I think Usman's washed. I think he's way washed. I think he was a great fighter in his prime, but, he was a weight bully in the fight. He fought him at welterweight, or if he did fight him at middleweight, he fought a welterweight at middleweight. I can't remember what fight it was. And it was short notice. And he has two blown out knees. Like, I mean, from a credential standpoint, you're absolutely right. But, and again, Tersey, I hope you don't get upset. I know Johnny Monday got upset with Huzaifa, and just for argument's sake, Khabib Nurmagomedov fought guys. What do you mean? Justin Gaethje, Division I wrestler. What do you mean? Like it's who has Khamzat fought that's a Division I wrestler? So again, if you have answers, I'm happy to converse with him about it, but I disagree with you.
All right, BBC Junior, we got a lot of comments on. I'm just trying to step through them, guys, before we move on to the next topic. RIP Jeans to BR specific. How many combos can you throw in a row without gassing? I can't throw more than 3 2-punch combos. I'm a yeah, I think me and Justin can both do better than that. But hey, if you keep practicing, I'm sure you can get that up eventually. 50 rubles. Can I just show this comment? It's again a troll,
of course.
but it's kind of funny. Justin just jealous DDP didn't kiss him too. We're all jealous DDP didn't kiss us. As Dr. Pieter said, DDP is a very handsome man. So yeah, we're all missing out. DDP is always doubted, so this is no different for him. If he makes it out of the first Shemaev, better watch out. Yeah, I mean, dude, that's why this fight is so crazy. I can't wait for it. We got a couple other comments. This is why I was surprised by the fight. I thought Fiziev was going to 145. He talked about it on Ariel's show, but I guess not. And then it says, I think Fiziev can probably KO some guys at featherweight for sure. I thought that would have been cool if he would have moved down. And we got one more comment. Let's see. Okay. King Tersey, I see your comments. I'm going to play them in a second, but we're going to move on to the next topics, and we'll continue out the dialogue and just talk about all this stuff, because I do think it's great to talk about, because we got this fight coming up. All the dialogue is good. We want the Shemaev haters. We want the DDP haters. We want to have not saying you're not a DDP hater. You're a Shemaev supporter like me, right? And Justin's a DDP and Khamzat supporter. So we're all in this mix together. We're all having fun. Okay, another interview. Moving on from Khalil Rountree, another interview that came out this week. I don't know if you caught it, Justin.
I didn't.
Artem Lobov finally came back on Ariel's show after all the beef he's had with Conor. And I thought it was pretty interesting. I wanted to just play this for you because he's going forward with the lawsuit. He's trying to sue Conor for like $6.5 million. And I used to think that it was maybe kind of him trying to grasp at straws at the end as the relationship frayed, just trying to get a quick payout, using Conor as a piggy bank, this type of thing. But I actually think there's some truth to his allegations, just based on when you listen to him. He sounds very knowledgeable about the entire whiskey endeavor. So Justin, let me play this clip for you and get your thoughts, and then we will comment and chime in. Check this out.
So when I told this to Conor, he told me to go and see what can I get, and I did not leave a single stone unturned. At the time when I put the whiskey together, there was actually only 6 companies that were able to produce their own whiskey, and I could see the potential in it, because Irish whiskey sales were fast approaching Scotch whiskey sales. However, there was only 6 factories making, 6 distilleries making Irish whiskey, and 144 distilleries making Scotch whiskey. So I could clearly see there was a massive gap in the market, and most importantly, when I tried to do the whiskey at the time, despite being such a big gap, entry-level whiskeys did not perform well at all on the market. It was only the higher-level whiskeys, the top shelf, as you want to call them. So whenever I was approaching all these industry experts and different distilleries, they all pushed for Conor to do an expensive whiskey. However, I understood Conor's fan base. I understood that it needs to be entry-level whiskey, and it took a lot of convincing from my part to make sure that we do an entry-level whiskey.
So we're going to pause it there. He basically goes on further to talk about like the entire deal and the different things that he turned down in the past. He still actually thinks fondly of Conor and will still defend him in certain cases. But just turning it over to you, I guess my main question is this, just from a feel standpoint, right? Just from all the stuff we've seen Conor go through, all the allegations that have been thrown out against him, what's your feeling? What's your instinct tell you? Do you think that he actually did kind of pull the rug out from underneath Artem Lobov? That he did something dirty to him in the sense of like he should have paid him, but now he's not? What's your just like sense or general feeling?
Seeing all the controversy Conor's been in as of recent, nothing would surprise me. I could, you know what I mean? That's the thing. These handshake agreements, people don't understand, man. You want to ruin a friendship going to business with somebody without a contract. And Artem Lobov probably thought they were buddies and trusted him. And I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, this guy has punched old guys in his bar. This guy's slapped, like he's just, nothing really would surprise me. So I'm not going to say that I think he did or did not, but if he did, it wouldn't surprise me.
That's my feeling as well. I actually think there's legitimacy to his claim. Plus, like, why would he go to trial if he doesn't have anything documented or any paperwork? It'd be stupid. It'd be idiotic. It'd be such an uphill battle to climb. I could be wrong though. It could be maybe his attorneys are taking it on a contingency basis, so they're not getting paid anything on front, only if they win. I don't know, but my assumption is if you're just going based off of a verbal agreement, you're not that a verbal agreement's not legitimate. It is. But it's really hard to prove when it's he said, she said, and there aren't other witnesses. So I'm curious to see. But like my initial instinct is that Artem, I don't know. I just feel like Artem probably got screwed, and especially when you hear how knowledgeable he is about the whiskey and the way he talks. Conor really painted him in a bad light. I think there's going to be something to this. All right, moving on to the last topic as we close out the show. We got a couple of comments that I'm going to highlight, and then we're going to go to the final topic. Dr. Peener is, ask Lobov why he eats slap. Ask him. You have to ask him. You must ask him why he do this. That's the famous Habib quote. Sorry if you missed that, Justin. Y'all got to clip the part about we're all jealous and we all want to. Oh, that's too good. Yeah, you're right. Dr. Peter coming in clutch as always. Matthew says Lobov is just mad he didn't get some cash out of it. It could be, or it could be legitimate. I don't know. You never know, right? Like it could be him after the fact just being like, hey, he made 200 million and I contributed and I feel like slighted because I gave him this idea or that idea. Sometimes people have an inflated ego or they misinterpret what really goes into building a business. Like if you have an idea, who cares? But did you put in the work? Did you put in the grind to understand the nuances? It makes it sound like though that he did put in the work, that he wasn't just contributing and it was my idea to come up with a whiskey and then he made 200 million, but you didn't do anything. You just said the idea. You don't get crap for that, dog. Like that's not how it works. So, but I think it's the former of those two where he actually did contribute something that was substantive. On top of that, I think there was some contract in place that this is just my instinct. Okay. I have no idea of the actual facts, but that's my feeling. We shall see when Discovery goes down. Tehran said Conor is a snake in the grass. Yo, at the end of the day, he's the actual snake in the grass. That's actually wild. TJ Dillashaw, win for you, buddy. All right. Last thing, Mokaev. I did a video on Mokaev earlier in the week. He gives the real story on why he was cut. We're going to close out with this thought, because I want to turn over to Justin as a fighter. This is my concern about Mokaev's story, if you take him at his word, which I do. And the thing that Mokaev said is he was told by Mick Maynard, who saved the flyweight division. It was on the chopping block. Mick Maynard saved it, and therefore the responsibility of the success of the division was placed in Mick Maynard's hands. As a result, he told Mokaev, maybe other fighters as well, that they need more exciting finishes. They need more exciting fights in the flyweight division. And he essentially effectively had to somewhat change his style to become more of a star. Otherwise, they weren't going to re-sign his contract. You saw what happened. He fought Manel Kape. They had a close decision. It wasn't exciting, even though Mokaev was undefeated and was such a terror, and he probably could beat Pantoja, which is insane. He wasn't re-signed. This is the thing that concerns me. Not like I want Mokaev back in on a personal level because I am a fan of him. But what scares me about this is what type of precedent is this setting? So Justin, as a fighter, let me turn it over to you. Is this setting a dangerous precedent? I'm not saying it's anywhere super close to fixing fights, but it's a promotion influencing the fight outcome. If you're telling a fighter to change their fight style, not for optimization, but for entertainment value, do you think this is dangerous territory for the UFC in terms of the product?
No, the sport is based on entertainment. If you remember Chuck Liddell early in his career, Dana White told him, or I'm going to say Dana White, but it was one of the higher up, who says, if you shoot and take your opponent down, we're not going to bring you back. And that's why Chuck Liddell became the Iceman and started knocking guys out. I don't know if it was Dana White or one of the other higher ups that told him. But again, this sport is entertainment. Me as a fighter, I don't want to see grappling very often. I want to see it used for their striking. And I know there's incentives to good strikers. That's why, I have a college wrestling base. I think I shot 2 takedowns in the UFC. And one of them was one of the biggest regrets I've ever had. It wasn't because I don't know how to wrestle. It wasn't because I don't know how to grapple. I want to get signed. I wanted big contracts in the UFC. And I knew by grinding out wrestling decision wins, instead of going from 10,000, 12,000, 14,000, like up by 1,000 or 2,000 a fight, I knew if I could knock guys out, that's why I went from making 12 and 12 to 25 and 25 overnight. My contract went from 12,000 to 25 or 24 and 24 overnight. And it wasn't because I was trying to win boring decisions. It was because no matter who I fought on any notice, that I was going to try to knock their head off. And I knew that was the fastest way to get my pay raised. And that's the way it is. It's the sport is not, that's the thing. The UFC does have the best fighters in the world, but it's not about who's the best in the world. It's about who can sell the most tickets. You look at Demetrius Johnson, arguably one of the greatest fighters to ever step foot in the UFC. UFC traded him for Ben Askren, which I thought was weird because Ben Askren has a boring fight style. But he never got the respect that he deserved. And you have to be exciting. And as much as we like Mokaev, I know he's reached out to you. I know you've talked to him personally, whether it's on Instagram or not. You got to have exciting fights if you want to stick around, especially in the flyweight division.
That's fair. And also you can understand from the business perspective. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's the draw of the fighters that translates directly to money coming into the UFC, which translates to money that the fighters get paid. So, I mean, like, I'm not saying it's totally crazy that they would have some incentive to maybe nudge the fighters towards more exciting fights because it's better for the fighters and the brand overall. So I get all of that. I guess I just want to ask your opinion as a fighter if this is a dangerous thing, because I talked about it in one of my videos. But anyways, guys, we're about to wrap up. Thank you guys so much. Matthew says Colby was told he wasn't entertained. Yeah, exactly. I mentioned this in the video.
I'm
yeah,
sorry, just because I want to talk about this. You're right. He wasn't entertaining, but everybody wants to see Colby get his ass whipped because of his press conference. His fighting style was thrown out. It doesn't matter because he was so good in the presser, and people wanted to see him fight to get his ass whipped. That's like with Joaquin Buckley. That's why we want to see him fight Ian Gary. Ian Gary. Like, it wasn't because we want to see Colby fight. We just want to see him get his ass whipped. So it didn't matter it doesn't matter what his style is.
He found a workaround. He found another way to draw the crowds in or bring excitement or whatever. And I don't think actually people should go that route. I think it's actually kind of cringy in retrospect, although it did work for Colby for quite some time. Even with me, I was even excited. All right, we're going to read through a couple final comments and then we're going to close out the show for this epic Friday because we got one more Friday left, one more Friday show left before the big show, before UFC 319, which I'm so excited about. Let's go. King Turzy says nobody goes 100% effort risking not having high-paced cardio later in the fight. Are you talking about Khamzat? So I'd say Merab, Islam, Khabib conserve their energy, making them fearful they won't have cardio.
Okay,
Khamzat,
hold on. I got to touch you. Hey, my guy, dude, I see what you're saying, and you're absolutely right, and that's why people say he's going to finish in the first round or he doesn't. But how can you say Merab doesn't have that kind of output? He shot over, literally, you can look this up. This isn't an exaggeration. He shot like 50 takedown attempts on Peter Yan.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
Turzy, I don't know if you have a lot. You might have a baseball background. I don't know if you have a grappling background or not. And again, this isn't me slandering you, but 50 takedown attempts. Like, do you have any idea what kind of output that is? There's nothing harder in the world than high-paced wrestling. And he had, I think it was 49 to be exact against Peter Yan. That's 49 takedown attempts in 15 minutes. Now, I'm no math whiz, and I know you are, but 15 divided by – he's shooting over 3 times, like 3.2 times every minute. Like, come on, Turzy. But we're not talking about 100% to finish. But so okay. We're talking about what you said because he has another comment we haven't shown. Nobody goes 100%. Like 50. Where's his conservation? He has 50. When is he conserving? That's 3 takedown attempts every minute. How is that conserving? I see what you're saying, but it's too easy of an argument, you know. And Khabib finished a bunch of guys. He finished Justin Gaethje. He finished Conor. Like, come on, man.
Let me bring a meeting of the minds for both of your perspectives. You're saying like King Turzy, and I kind of am maybe like I'm kind of in the middle, but I'm probably maybe a tiny bit more aligned with King Turzy because I do think Khamzat stands out. But let's put it like this: here's how we can all agree: the people that you're comparing Khamzat to are 2 of the GOATs of the sport. So I think we can all feel good about that. Like, you're comparing him to Merab, who you believe is the bantamweight GOAT, and Khabib, who some people think might be the GOAT of the sport. So if those are the comparisons, I think we can all be happy and rest easy. Guys, I really got to wrap it up because we're in Palm Desert right now, and we got to head back out and get our day going here. But this has been such a fun show. I want to say, I think the topics were really fun today. Credit to myself for that. But no, the topics were pretty fun. So we had a great discussion. Thank you guys for chiming in. We had a nice number on the live. Thank you guys so much for all the support. I can't tell you how much it means because the people that come on the chats live and give us support and give us things to talk about and riff off of, it gives us ideas for the next week and whatnot. You're really part of this awesome community that we're building. And I think the thing about our community is, look, we're not in here to troll the fighters and to be disrespectful. Obviously, we'll have our opinions. We're not always saying like the rosiest of things, right? Like, we're going to be honest. We're going to be real. But we like to think that because we are approaching it this way, we're cultivating a bunch of people in the community that have similar viewpoints and have similar personalities. So it's just so fun to find fellow people in our community here that view fighting and look at it the same way. So it's just super cool. We love having you guys here, and thank you so much because you're just helping us have a blast with our lives and talk about something that we're passionate about. Thank you guys so much. King Turzy says, win combo. Thanks, Justin. Thanks. See, look at that. The respect. I love it all around. We can agree, we can disagree, but we can have fun throughout the entire process. Weston says, thanks, guys. And 10-7. Justin says he throws out his Instagram at the end. That's it. We're wrapping up. We're going to see you guys on Monday for our next show. Next week is Fight Week 319. We got a fight card this weekend. I think there's a couple of interesting fights, but we didn't want to talk about today because we just thought these other topics were more worthwhile for the time being. But anyways, that's it. Thank you guys so much. And, Rubel says, don't wear an orange bra next time. I'll wear bright pink. If you like that better, I think you'll like it. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we'll see you in the next episode. Take it easy.